Mr. Hubbard, let me just start with you and your expectations here on something we haven't talked about as much this morning, given the deluge of news related to the vaccine, which is what we see coming in for the Biden administration and the composition of Congress. What is your likelihood in terms of a scenario under which we get some sort of relief plan for those businesses that are still suffering, as, by the way, COVID cases continue to rise, even with the prospect of a vaccine on the horizon?
Well, I think two parts to your question. One, the virus recovery itself will be critical. That's why the vaccine is such good news to markets, to the economy, to all of us. But second, yes, we do need a relief plan. We still have many, many Americans without work, many businesses struggling. That relief plan could center on aid to states. It could center on unemployment insurance and further assistance for businesses as they retool for the economy that awaits us. I'm pretty optimistic that that will happen once the new Congress is seated.
What kind of a number do you expect? I mean, I know we can't put numbers on it, but there's an expectation that there is going to be a newfound fiscal austerity, so to speak, or concern perhaps about rising budget deficits amongst what is likely to still be a Republican Party control of the Senate. Hence, any number would be less than perhaps had been anticipated previously.
Well, I think partly it's about a number, but partly it's about what you do with that number. So I think if one started with $1 trillion, but really focused in the areas that I mentioned, you could make real progress. Remember, the Federal Reserve also has enormous tools and its Main Street lending facility. So I think one could even start in that range, although I think a higher number would be more advisable.
CNBC has been polling voters in battleground states for the last 8+ months. And one thing that we've seen in recent weeks is a deterioration among people actually interested and likely to get the vaccine. I want to put some numbers up on the screen. As recently as September, a majority of battleground voters in both parties were not willing to get the vaccine. Only 24% of Republicans and just over 40% of Democrats. Those ticked up slightly in October, but there certainly seems to be a lot of trepidation on both sides of the aisle to actually get vaccinated. And as President-elect Biden says he's going to be a unifier, he is going to represent people who voted for him and people who did not vote for him. How do you change the mindset of all of these people who will not get a vaccine if that is truly what the trajectory of the economy is dependent on?
Well, first you have to have a vaccine.
That's for Austin. Austin, your thoughts?
Okay.
That's right.
Look, the thing is, that was a purely hypothetical in which we were saying to people of both parties, if we were to discover a vaccine, would you take it? I think that's completely different for a lot of people from if first responders and essential workers are taking the vaccine and it is 90% effective and it's clear it doesn't have side effects, so that it is kind of the best case scenario. I think you'll see the numbers, the share of people willing to get the vaccine will massively go up. And the thing to remember, if a vaccine is 90% effective, you don't need to get 100% of people to take the vaccine for that to extinguish the spread of the disease. You just need to get a high percentage of people to take it. So I think prominent people of both parties and prominent celebrities and people like that taking the vaccine will move the needle. If you and people don't remember, but in the 1950s, when the first polio vaccine came out, there was also a lot of trepidation about it, and they got Elvis himself to get the polio vaccine shot, and they say that alone increased the share of people willing to get the disease by 30% or something.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.